Welcome back. We have been seeing a bit of a recovery both in the rupee and in the stock markets. Rupee went, I think, to 56.82 at one point. That's when I last saw it. And the stock markets also have maintained above the 5,900 mark for the past hour or so. So there is a little bit of recovery from the day's lows. Let's shift to personal finance. As promised, Harshvardhan Roongta of Roongta Securities joins us. This is an unusual personal finance question that we are coming from. Not entirely finance. There are other reasons why you sell a car. But what should you keep in mind, Harsh?
Well, Lata, I'll give you the personal finance aspect while selling this car, since it's the personal finance segment.
Okay.
Now, when a seller is, sells his car or a motorcycle, generally he fills in a couple of forms, which is a form 2930, and hands it over to the buyer. And it's a perceived notion that all the formalities have now been completed, and the headache of getting the car transferred in the name of the buyer is that of the person who has bought it. But I would say that there are a couple of things which a seller needs to keep in mind and follow up whether those things have been done or no. The first one, in his own interest, is that he needs to get the policy transferred, the insurance policy transferred in the name of the buyer, and also claim a no-claim certificate. Now, I'll tell you, if a seller has not incurred any claim in the policy, he gets a discount in the premium for that car, for that insurance policy. Now, this entitlement of discount is that of the seller and not of the buyer. So what happens is, now if a seller is enjoying say 50% discount on premiums because he has been a person who's not made any claims, is not met with an accident, now this entitlement can be retained by the seller and used when he buys another vehicle. Now, I'll give you an example. Now, the seller has to approach the insurance company and take a NCB certificate. That's a no claim bonus certificate. This certificate is valid for 3 years from the date of issuance. Now, if the seller buys another car for which the premium is say 25,000 rupees, he gets a discount of 50% on this new insurance policy that he buys. So this is, this is a personal finance aspect which many people do not realize. The other part is that he needs to get he needs to inform the RTO, the regional transport office, that the car has been sold to a particular person. Now, many a times we see that the buyers do not transfer the car in their name and they just linger and delay the process. And if you sold the car to an agent, this agent waits for a final buyer and then he transfers the car directly into the name of the final buyer. Now, in the interim period, the car has been driven around and it still stands in the name of the seller. If it gets involved in any illegal activities or an accident, the responsibility is completely that of the owner of the car, which in the records of RTO is the seller as yet. So these are a couple of 1 or 2 points which a seller needs to keep in mind and follow up even after handing over the car in the delivery note to the buyer. So these are things which will insulate him from all the technical aspects of the law in case the car meets with an accident or gets involved in illegal activity.
Okay, Harsh, just hold that thought. We have some news coming in on HMT, and that's the reason why the stock has rallied 10% odd. Remember that there was that government revival plan which was on the anvil, but we do have a report which is published in one of the papers, and it seems like they will possibly be ready to sell off prime properties which are owned by Hindustan Machine Tools. And remember that apparently this is a secret document by the Union Ministries of Heavy Industries at this point in time, which reveals the blueprint of selling prime land held by the company in Bangalore, in Hyderabad, as well as in Andhra Pradesh at this point in time, and Haryana and Rajasthan, in the pretext of a revival plan proposal for HMT Limited. So this is basically quite a lot in terms of property which they will be looking to divest, and the stock is currently up around 14% odd. Like you can see, it is one of the key gainers in terms of trade, considering it is so quiet. We'll get you more details on this, but these are basically the details with regards to this. So they will be looking to sell off property in Kerala, Andhra Pradesh, Haryana, as well as in Rajasthan. So in 4 states, the stock is up around 13% odd. Let's get back to the personal finance query then. We have Gaurav Kejriwal calling in from Mumbai, and he has a question on personal finance. Gaurav.
Yeah, hi. During the last earnings season, I noticed that almost all companies which announced large dividends rallied the next day. My question is it a good idea to invest in companies that normally give high dividends? Also, could you please give some suggestions for long-term investing?
Okay, Harsh, that's pretty straightforward, and actually that's a good question, whether someone should invest in high dividend yielding companies. What would your opinion be, and any recommendations that you have on the same?
Well, Gaurav, distributing dividend is just one of the parameters in judging the performance of a company. Now, I'd like to just, for your knowledge purposes, also inform you there are many companies which are capital intensive in nature and hence do not distribute dividends every year. Now, that does not mean that they're not good. There are growth prospects, there are growth investing, and there is dividend investing. Now, what I would suggest that for long-term investing, the short-term phenomena of rally after issuance of dividend, after distribution of dividends is not the parameter. Equities as an asset class, of course, works the best over a period of 7 to 10 years. Now, what I would recommend is that you identify companies based on a bottom-up approach. You look at the company, you look at a particular company, look at the market share that that company enjoys, look at the management and couple of other factors internally within the company and decide which company is good and then invest. My favorites, if you're looking at some recommendations, particularly in stocks, my favorites have been FMCG for long-term portfolio investments. I look at ITC, Nestle, Colgate, P&G, and I do have investments in these companies and also recommend them to my clients. So what I would recommend is that look at a bottom-up approach, identify a few companies, study the financials of those companies and other aspects, and then look at investing into them for long-term.
All right, straightforward advice to you. Thanks a lot, Harsh, for joining us, especially for that interesting and important advice on what you should remember on financial matters when you sell a car. We leave the markets actually in much better shape than when we started the show, or for that matter than when trading began this morning. This mid caps, the small cap index is in the green, just about flat, and I think the Nifty will get there before we start our next show, which is Business Lunch, coming up for you in a minute after this break.